Welcome to the Functional Living Podcast, featuring your hosts, Dr. Jeff Cumro.
You can't live a 3 out of 10 on the lifestyle scale and expect to have a 10 out of 10 on health. It just doesn't work that way.
And Dr. Jared Leon.
We want you to live at a higher quality of life, thereby having a better everyday existence.
Functional Living is the show that is dedicated to your higher quality of life. These are tried and true solutions from two nationally acclaimed health and wellness experts.
Our goal in this journey is quite simple, is to give our listeners a small understanding of what we've done and what we see every single day to better patient lives.
Learn how you can live a higher quality of life today.
You're going to be much happier. You're going to be much healthier.
And now, introducing your hosts, Dr. Jeff Cumro and Dr. Jared Leon.
Dr. Jared, you with me?
I am there, Dr. Jeff. Hey, buddy. How you doing today?
Doing well. Good talking to you again. Looking forward to getting a little deeper today. We're going to dive into nutrition and talk a little bit more about what our patients and what our listeners can do to improve their health through better nutrition.
Perfect. So let's just do a quick recap. So this is going to be the 5 pillars of health to living a functional life. This is going to be called pillar number 1. And we're going to rock and roll starting now about proper nutrition. So why don't we start off with the don'ts? We're going to talk a lot about the do. Why don't we talk about things that are just probably obviously bad that people potentially make mistakes on a daily basis. And we're not going to go too deep into nutrition, but we're going to try to give you the highlight, Cliff Note version of what not to do first. Sound good, Dr. Jeff?
It sounds great. And, the Cliff Note version is going to be difficult on this because we could talk for hours on this stuff.
And hours might be what we do in the future, but right now we're going to keep it nice and short for our listeners in the car, all right?
I agree. So
what's the no? The first thing, no. I'll go first on this one. You ready? With me and you are both passionate about nutrition, so why don't we say this? How about no fried foods for the most part? Are we good on that one?
I think that's a pretty easy one to add to the list. How about we go with no fast food, and that includes convenience store food as well.
I completely agree. And just before we go a few minutes on this no list, we want to just quickly state that we're not endorsed by anyone. We are 2 chiropractors trying to give a message here. So remember, these are opinion/massive scientific fact. So if you do eat this way, we've eaten this way in our past at one point in our life, and we're not downgrading you. We're just giving you things that we now know better. Is that fair, Dr. Jeff, before we go forward?
I think that's a very important qualification is, we've all been there, and nutrition is a tough thing to master. And when you learn the things, it's much, much easier. So we're just trying to give some pointers here, help you live a healthier life.
Perfect. And we've all made mistakes, especially in college. The mistakes have been there. So the reality is, as you know more, we try to do better. So with that, okay, let's minimize dairy. Dairy is a naturally occurring inflammatory agent. The only person that's really not inflammatory based is if you're a baby cow. And coming from Nebraska, I think you can actually get along, but you have a cow.
We've got a couple of them out back here.
So would you agree, right? So if you're a baby cow, just to be cow, I don't want to jump ahead. I believe that's called a calf, but I could be wrong.
You're right.
And cool. So if you're a baby cow called a calf, then it is totally acceptable to have cow's milk, right? So I think that is great. If you're a human being living in the world we currently live in, especially in America, at this point I would just simply say try your best to minimize dairy. And I said minimize. I didn't say stop it or get rid of. You can still have your pizza once in a while. But the truth is minimize your dairy because it is inflammatory. The other massive inflammatory food that people eat every single day is going to be carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. Dr. Jeff, why don't you elaborate on that, please?
I think that's a very good statement to make. And, it's very daunting when you look at this and you say, how can you eliminate these things? How can you minimize these things? Because they're in everything. But there are a lot of replacements for this. It's very easily done. I haven't had gluten in almost 2 years. I haven't had dairy in about the same length of time. And I feel so much better since I started doing this. But, the dairy foods, there are a lot of replacements. You can do almond milk or rice milk. There's soy milk out there. I don't recommend that one as much, but there are alternatives for these things. Gluten is the same way. There are a lot of gluten-free options. There's gluten-free sections in the stores. Very, very helpful. A lot of your Whole Foods or other marketers have people on staff to help you through the shopping for that. So, like Dr. Jared said, these are very, very inflammatory foods. They cause a lot of problems. Minimizing is daunting, but it is very easily done.
Well said, well said. And again, let's go back into some notes before you get into the deeper science, but I knew you would jump ahead. You were that guy. That was good stuff, buddy. Another note. What would we say in another note? Let's say anything well, why don't we stick with the Halloween stuff like candy, right? Candy is just something I like to say to any given patient, if it could stay on your shelf for, I don't know, a decade, and it would probably still taste good, it's probably a good chance it's not going to go well in your stomach. It's just that simple. Okay? So we're on the nose list, right? So anything that would leave a stain, I like to say this one too in the practice, if it's going to leave a stain on the floor, say like a red stain or a blue stain, it has some kind of food coloring, instantaneously cannot be good for your belly. Does that make sense, Dr. Jeff?
You know, that's a very good one. I haven't heard that one before, but I really like it. That's a very, very good one.
Perfect. So say like in the old days, where we don't know as much and we go to a fast food restaurant. We used to do this as kids, by the way, and we would go to Taco Bell. Nothing against Taco Bell, it's fun stuff, but the reality is we thought it was awesome as kids that if we put their hot sauce on a dirty penny, it would clean the penny. And I know that's hard to believe because when you're a kid, I'm talking 6, 7, that was the coolest thing ever. But now that we know something, that is burning a hole in my stomach, literally. My stomach lining is going away. So I'm going to put that in the no list. You see, spices are actually really healthy for the human body, so I'm okay with spices. But coming from a plastic, which emits, more chemicals into the body, so we're not going to talk about that. But we can, because it's actually part of the no list. Anything that is consistently in a plastic or an aluminum can is probably not something I would want to put in my body either. So I'm going to put that on my no list. What about you, Dr. Jeff?
Well, really, we could break that down to say if you can't pronounce what's in something, it's probably going to be something you don't want to take in. I mean, if you don't know what it is, why would you put that in your body?
So with that being said, that's a great one. I think in the future, if we get enough listeners who actually want some of this in much deeper concepts, we can do hours upon nutrition. We'll talk to you about reading labels and how to do that. But for right now, what Dr. Jeff is saying, just very, very quickly, like super fast, like you're glimpsing at something. If you don't know what the word is and you need to ask another adult how to pronounce it, it's probably a no.
You're right.
That's fair enough. It's probably a no. If you throw it against the wall and it sticks, it's probably a no. You drop it on the floor, it leaves a stain, it's a no. If it tastes delicious and you want another one instantaneously, it's probably a no. So I like to tell patients, and then I'm going to let you go a little deeper into this stuff, Jeff, but I tell patients all the time, if you can eat your favorite food, whatever it is, it's usually something bad. Let's just say it's pizza, because that covers the gluten concept, and it's the cheese, it's the yummy stuff, it's delicious, right? I love pizza, I do. I'm a New Yorker, it happens, okay? So I go like this, how many slices of pizza could you honestly eat? And they look at me and go, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4. I'm thinking, great, when's the last time you ate 3 apples? And they go, I don't think I could. I'm like, interesting. How many times do you eat 4, 5, 6 pears in a row? Almost never. This is a natural cutoff about things that are really good for you. The brain is so smart. It's like, that's enough, man. Cut it off. But when you add in additives, the sweetness, the good stuff from, not nature, by the way, synthetic labs, it stops that shutoff switch. Therefore, you want more until all of a sudden, minutes to hours later, you are, not feeling well. You're crippled over in stomach pain. You're looking for some antacid. You're taking some Tums. You're doing something that's ridiculous. So, Dr. Jeff, I think we can go off on hours. So why don't we go about the do's? Let's give them some real good do stuff right now. What are things we'd like them to eat? Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I'm going to start with something you don't eat. I'm going to start with water because it's one of the most important things. The body is mostly water, and most people that I see, I don't know about you, but most people that I see don't drink enough water, and that causes a lot of problems throughout the body.
Well said, well said. So with that being said, I like to recommend half your body weight in ounces of water is my gold standard. What do you think of that?
I think that's a great starting point for most people. And most people aren't even getting that. So that's great. As long as you're moving up the level, I mean, that's the next thing. I always tell people, and this is probably too much information for some people, but if you go to the bathroom and your pee is clear, that's the right amount.
Perfect. I mean, look, you're coming from over here, and if you take some vitamins, it's going to be even crazy color. But the good news is, if you drink enough water, there's a huge probability that you're going to dramatically feel better. Doing nothing else. If you take one thing from today's discussion with me and Dr. Jeff, the key is to drink water because you're going to feel better.
Exactly. 2,
your muscles are going to get rehydrated. And when your muscles are rehydrated, they're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more bounce in your step, more pep in your step. The other amazing thing is the brain's going to fire off better because the globality of brain is still water. Every cell is 80% water. The human body is 80% water. Your muscles are 80% water. They say Earth is 80% water. So I tell my patients, if you don't want to drink at least 80% of water, you should probably just get off Earth. So with that
might be a little
said,
harsh.
we've probably talked enough about water. Why don't we talk another amazing thing? So what we speak of here in New York, everything's like a faster pace. So I like to say, go to the grocery store, go faster by missing or skipping the middle. Walk around the periphery. It's all the fruit and vegetables, the meats, the fish, the things that are protein or grown or natural. And I mean organic/natural. We'll call it natural today, but we'll get into that another day. But walk around the periphery. It's just a great way to find the really colorful stuff that's not in a can and it's not in a container, and we call that live food. So, okay, Dr. Jeff, give another good one.
First of all, I think that's phenomenal advice because you're not going to find the gluten in the middle, or you're going to find the gluten in the middle. You're not going to find it on the periphery. So that's a great baseline there. Everybody is concerned about protein, and I think that's something we should kind of cover here. A lot of people want to get more protein than they really need. Most people say, 0.8 grams, which is way more information than we're going to go into on this. But, really we don't even need that. As long as you're getting like 1 4 or 5 ounce serving of protein in a day, you should pretty much be good for that.
Again, great initial start to this. Of course, the main thing to understand for all the listeners is the real truth in protein. It's a longer story than today. But if you're really a sedentary person and you don't move that much, your requirement for higher amounts of protein are not going to be there. If you're an athlete and you're pushing harder and you're breaking a lot more muscle fibers, you need protein to regrow those fibers. So then that person's going to, let's say, need double the amount as the person on the couch. So I like to tell patients, take your body weight, almost like the water concept, cut it in half, and that would be really a good point to say that's your maximum protein for the day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 75 grams of protein is going to be plenty for you, unless you're really pushing harder. The average person could do half of that. So that'd be about a quarter of your weight in realistic protein of grams. I think that's more than enough for most people until you want more out of life and you start doing more endurance-like activities.
Yeah, I agree fully.
Okay, cool. So we got some water and summation, right? So we know we got to drink more water. We're going to eat a little bit of protein source, if not a lot of protein source. Of course, we got to throw it in. I would do mostly organic or free range or grass-fed stuff because that's going to be the healthiest level.
Huge.
Fish, great, amazing stuff, but you just don't know where it's being caught. So be a little bit smarter, be a little bit more peculiar of where you buy your fish, and therefore that'll be okay. Globality, eat as much vegetable in a given day. The darker the green, the better is my rule. You can eat fruit if you're trying to lose weight. My golden standard is try not to eat that much fruit if you're trying to lose weight. If you're not, it is great, especially in the summer, a good amount of fruit and then go burn off that sugar because that's the good sugar we're looking at. Go ahead, Dr. Jeff, finish the summation off, buddy.
Yeah, I think we talked about some really good things here. We went over some very good do's and we went over some very good don'ts. And, it's always easier to focus on the things that you can have than the things you can't have. If you focus on the things that you can't have, you're just going to want more of them. So look at the things that you should be having. Stock your fridge with the things that you should have. Stock your cupboards with the things that you should have. If you don't have the junk food in the house, you're going to be less likely to get a hold of it.
Well said, my friend. Great job. And again, listeners, thank you for listening. And the last tip I'll give you, just one more tip real quick, and I'm sorry for the close, but I wanted to give one more tip. Listen, we all have a bad moment. We all make bad choices. If you start doing great and you have a great week and you blow it for a day, don't get discouraged. We're all human. It happens to all of us. Stick to the program. At the end of a week, if you have more good days than bad, you've succeeded. You won that week. Always think that way. I see too many patients who do amazing for a period of time. They go off the wagon a day, which turns into 2-3 weeks or months, and then they come back. Don't do that.
Great.
Day by day. We're all human. We make mistakes. Stay focused and stay positive. Now, Dr. Jeff, sorry to interrupt. I want that at the end, but you know what? Have a great day, everyone. Dr. Jeff, you're amazing, bro. We'll hook up on the next talk and be well.
That sounds good. Looking forward to it, Jared.
You've been listening to the Functional Living Podcast with Dr. Jeff Cumro and Dr. Jared Leon. If this podcast helped you find the path to your higher quality of life, be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating or review.